ask questions. When you've got questions, feel free to throw those out. Sound good? All right, is my screen sharing, showing to you, the Ignite screen?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me go ahead and pull up this. So these are the things that we're going to cover today. So connecting with your market is about these 4 keys. One, we're going to talk about knowing your market, building your expertise, what different tools or resources that you have at your disposal, and then some of the success habits that actually help you to crack the code with building your real estate career. And there's a little snippet from the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book, which says that, and this is from Gary Keller, here's the truth. It has been done in another market. If it has been done in another market, it can be done in your market. Once it has been done, no matter where, it's just a matter of finding out how that can be possible in your world. And the cool thing about real estate is that whatever your goals are, somebody most likely has achieved those. And that's what Gary's speaking to. So if you look at financial goals specifically, there are a significant number of real estate professionals throughout the country that make over 6 figures. And I throw that number out just because that's pretty standard as far as a good target to aim for. And some people's goals are way above that, some are below that. It really doesn't matter. But the reality is, has somebody achieved what you're wanting to achieve? And if the answer is yes, then the question is how? What do I need to do to accomplish my goals with the least amount of energy possible? And that's what we're going to talk about, is some of those strategies. One of the strategic advantages as a real estate professional that you can build into your process is being what we call the real estate expert or economist of choice. So you want your sphere of influence, the people that you know, to recognize you as somebody who really understands the real estate market. Specifically, obviously here in Utah, but then also local to your area, whatever county that you're going to focus on. And some people even dial even further and say, I'm going to focus on a specific city or specific neighborhood. And so we'll go through a few of those keys and how to do that. Knowing and connecting with your market is all about research and preparation. So the reality is, a lot of this is just more of homework and study time of you actually looking at the market and finding out how to read it. So this is something where not everybody, went to college for statistics and for, data analytics and research. So we get it. It's not the easiest, thing to pick up, but through repetition and consistency of going back to these resources that I'm going to show you, it makes it easier. And one of the things that you want to do is all our training calendar that we put out every month, Alicia, you'll see different classes that we provide. And one of them each quarter is a market update where we go very deep into the numbers that drive the real estate economy. And that would be a great one for you to focus on every single quarter. So let's dive into this. There's 3 different types of real estate markets. So there's a buyer's market, there's a balanced market, and then there's a seller's market. And each of them have different kind of nuances in those different markets. So for example, buyer's market is when you have more than 7 months of inventory. So in Alicia, I'm curious, do you know currently how much inventory we have in the Utah market?
No, I'm not sure.
Okay. And so I'm going to show you how to find that information very quickly and make it easily accessible for you. Okay. And so a buyer's market is more than 7 months of inventory. A balanced market, where it's even between buyers and sellers, is from 5 to 7 months of inventory. And then a seller's market is when you have less than 5 months of inventory. So what that means is if we stop putting new homes on the market today, how long would it take to sell out of all of the inventory? It's kind of like if you were to go to the grocery store. Let's imagine that they never receive any more shipments. They just say, we're going to sell whatever's left on the shelf. How long would it take for them to sell out? Right? That's what this is speaking to. And that's what predicts if it's a buyer's market or seller's market. In a seller's market, sellers have control and they usually have the negotiation power. In a buyer's market, the buyer has control and they have the best opportunity for negotiations. And so it's important for a real estate professional to understand what market we're in, because that will really predict what kind of offers we should make, what kind of negotiations we should have, and really influences how we support our clients. Does that part make sense, Leisha? Any questions here?
No.
Okay. So where to find this information? That's where I'm going to go and kind of guide you through this now. So there's actually a few different ways to access this information on the MLS. The MLS is where you're going to find the majority of this information, and there's other resources out there as well that can be helpful. But to get very dialed into your local county and then also city, you'll want to just go to the MLS. So I'm going to actually open that up and walk you through this. So when you log in, what you'll see is over here on the right-hand side, you'll see this market statistics section. And it automatically just filters for the last 30 days. So it automatically shows me from May 7th to today for the entire market. And I can say, I want to see a specific county. And remind me, Alicia, what county you're in?
San Pete.
So if I say I want to just see San Pete data, I would see that there's 61 days is the average days on market. Okay. And the average list price is 387, average sold is 371. Number of sales the last 30 days is 24. Now, obviously, if I change that to Utah County, you'll see quite different numbers. 44 days on market, 578 purchase price or list price, 679 sales. And if I go to just this, it's the entire state, and it will show you a drastic difference in numbers. So being able to know how to manipulate the data to find either your local area, or if you're trying to talk about the state as a whole or a specific county, that stuff is key. But this makes it easy to pull up those numbers. Okay. The other part to get more into the weeds of the data is you have a few options up here right next to forms. It's called statistics. And the ones that I like looking at, number one is sales per month. You then also have rapid stats. So I'll show both of those to you. So if I go to sales per month and then also absorption rate, those are the three. So if I go to sales per month, what I can do is say, I want to go back to May of 2022. And then I want to see the median price changes over that timeline. And it will actually pull up stats for every single month from last May to today. And what it does that's interesting is it'll show you this category here. This median S2OL stands for the median sold price over list price. Okay, so did it sell for more than the list price or less than? And this is, again, taking into account the entire market in the state, shows you up here. Search criteria of the state. I can change that to just a specific city if I want to, or county on the other page. But this is showing homes sold for average last May 3% more than the list price. So if I listed something for 525 on average, it's going to sell for 540. Okay. And if you look at what's happening over every month, you can see that this was declining. And what month was this? November, homes would sell for 92% of list price. So if somebody listed for 519, they were only selling it for 480. Huge difference in the price. So that can be a very good key when you're pricing homes for clients, is helping them to understand if we are in a very healthy market where homes are selling for more than the list price, or if we're in a challenging market where homes are selling for far less than what they list for. Just so you can set the proper expectations. Because in this kind of market in November, I was not telling my clients, hey, if we list the home for 520, we're going to sell it for 540 because that was not the reality. I wanted to tell them like, hey, it's very likely based off of our recent data these last couple of months that if we list for 520, your home's going to sell for less. That's just where we're at in the market. And it helps them to understand what's most likely to happen. And then as you can see now, we're starting to trend back up. We are heading into more peak season. So 94, 93, 94, 96, 95, 99, 97. So you're seeing this trend where we dipped all the way to 92%. And now we're going back up, which is good. Mostly because of summer months. What questions might you have about that process, Alicia, so far?
What do the other things mean on the right of the median? Yeah.
Great question. So each of these has a different piece. So for example, this is going to be your median square footage. So that's the size of the homes that were listed, a median square foot. And then you've got median square foot or cost per square foot, what the median cost was. Then you've got median bedroom count, bathroom count, and days on market. The only ones that I really look at that really matter to me are the list to sell price, which is this, and what the percentage is, and then days on market. So last year in May, it was taking on average 6 days for a home to go under contract.
Wow.
Whereas if you look at today, it peaked in January, it was taking 51 days for a home to sell compared to 6.
Right.
So that's also an important number to know, because if you promise your clients, hey, homes are selling off the shelf, we're probably gonna have an offer this weekend, and 50 days go by, they're gonna get pretty concerned.
Yeah.
Right? That's where it's just important to know what is the actual average, so that way you're sharing that in their listing appointment, or and to buyers as well. Why that number is important to buyers is if a home has been on the market for 2 days and the median or the average days on market is 45, it's very, very low likelihood that we're going to be able to negotiate and get them, a ton of closing costs or other benefits where it was just put on the market, right? If that home's been on the market for 90 days and the average days on market is 45, we probably have some pretty good negotiation power because the home is not selling. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So that's where this on the right is really important.
Okay.
Good question. So that's the report I really like. This one is just count how many homes sold. Again, this is the whole state. So that given month, that's how many homes sold and how much volume. Those ones are really just don't matter when you're talking to clients. You can put those on like a market update, just let them know how many homes sold. Some people like to know that. The next report is absorption rate or report. And this is something where you can go ahead and again, do specific state and county. If I was to do San Pete, what you'll find, let's see. Might not do. Let's see if Utah County pulls up. That's on. So that one's not working. Let me look at the rapid stats. They might have moved it. So rapid stats is brand new. This came out within the past 30 days. And essentially they're enhancing or making the reports that we can use better, statistics and just data. So this is actually what the new report looks like. So if you log in here, you'll see some graphs, which are cool because you can actually download these. And these can be put in your email newsletter to clients. You can share this on social media to help people understand what's happening. And so we'll show you how many active homes are in the market today, how many listings sold over the last 30 days, and then how many homes are under contract still. And you can go ahead and change the timeline as well as like 60 days ago, 90 days ago. So from 90 days ago, we're 14% higher active listings on the market. And whereas sold, if we look at 90 days ago, we are 26% higher on homes sold. than we were 90 days ago. Winter months obviously are a lot slower here in Utah just because of the weather. And holidays and all that kind of stuff. It's very cyclical. Let's see, market summary. What you can do is go ahead and do a little snapshot of the market statistics here. You can do monthly for a local market. So my encouragement would get on here and play with a lot of these reports, and you can get very granular on different areas, price range that you focus on, all of that. But I'm going to show you what the snapshot looks like. Is really, really cool. Again, you can screenshot this and share it in an email newsletter or on social media to your clients. And this will help expose you as the real estate economist or expert of choice, because they realize that you're studying the numbers and that you're actually focusing on things that matter, because this helps inform their buying, selling, or investing decision, right? What's happening in the market. And so this snapshot shows that average days on market for the whole state in May was 49. New listings that were added to the market were almost 5,000. There were 3,300 homes that sold. And then you can break it down over the last 12 months and look at historical data for each of these metrics as well. And it's broken down by price range on here, which is kind of cool. Then it has some graphs that kind of shows as well. This is the median price for square footage. So this is a square footage graph. And again, there's just so many different data points that you can find on this slide. Supply versus demand. This might be the new absorption report that I was trying to show you. Let's look at it. I haven't looked at this one. No, that's not going to be. Oh, here it is. Yes. So this is the one that I was looking for, is the absorption rate versus the monthly supply. So this is saying that with how many homes we put on the market, how long would it take to sell out of everything? It does not have the same number as the original absorption rate. So I wonder if that's in a different report, but it does show the graph on it. So let's see, the black number is going to be the absorption rate. So this is saying how many months up here on this side would it take to sell out of all inventory. So in this case, we peaked out in May of 2021 on 4 months of inventory. And right now we are less than 1 month of inventory. So if you remember that, one of the slides I showed you, what kind of market does that seem that we're in? Buyer's market, seller's market, or a neutral market?
Was it buyer's market? Seller's market.
Yep, we're in a seller's market. Yeah, so when there's less inventory or less supply, the seller has control. It's kind of like if we are, let's say that we're out in the ocean and we were on a shipwreck and there's only 5 life jackets, right? And there's 20 people that need a life jacket. Each of those life jackets are worth a significant amount of value because there's more people that need it than there are life jackets. And so supply and demand is that when there's low supply, there's a lot of demand, you have to have the demand, and there's a high demand, the price of whatever that supply is increases, right? Or the negotiation power increases. So the same thing with real estate in Utah is we don't have enough supply. We're actually severely undersupplied for the amount of demand we have. We have too many people moving into Utah and too many new households being created to where there's a lot of homes, a lot of people that want to buy homes, but not enough homes for sale. So right now, if we stop putting homes on the market, we would sell out of everything we have in 1 month, which is not good. We want it to be a healthy market. We want to have at least 3 months of inventory.
Okay. That's kind of scary.
Yeah. And that's because if you look at what's happened in Utah, back in 2008, when the market crashed, a lot of builders really ran into hard times because they had a lot of land, they had a lot of homes, and then the market just crashed. And so a lot of builders coming out of that either did not recover or they started to get very frugal with how they built homes. And
Right.
so 2014 to 2015, what you see is we did not start building enough homes. And so we're like 8 years in of not building enough or quick enough to keep up with the demand. So we've actually been digging a hole where we haven't been building fast enough. And so we are about 40 to 50,000 homes short of where we should be in today's market. So that's probably going to take us 5 to 10 years to dig out of that hole. It's going to take some time to fix that problem. So that's where Utah has extremely high demand. We have very low supply. And so we are right now in a seller's market. We did start trending more towards a buyer's market. And now that I'm rereading this graph, I apologize. I mixed up these numbers. So the months of supply is this blue line. So actually we're just above 2 months. We're above 2 months. So we did bottom out at less than a month of inventory for about 2 years through 2020 to 2022 through May. Since then, it has uptrended, but we are right now about 2 months of supply, which again, still extremely unhealthy. We probably want to be between 3 to 5 months just for a healthy market, but a balanced good market is about 6 months of inventory. So we're still way below that. Okay. Does this graph make sense? Any questions there?
That makes sense.
Okay. All right. So that's where you find statistics, and just again, studying this information is super helpful. Let's see. Let's go back to these slides. So inventory is the number of properties for sale within a market. And we just went over and looked at what some of the inventory was here in the state of Utah, and what the average days on market was for the state as well. Again, you want to look at San Pete specifically, which also was pretty low. I think there was only 24 homes that either sold or were on the market for San Pete, which is pretty low. Average price point in the market that sells, and based on inventory, what type of real estate market are we in? Again, we are for sure in a seller's market still, but we're starting to trend towards that buyer's market with inventory that's increasing. Interest rates and lender regulations. These things highly impact the real estate space. And so the problem that we're having right now is affordability. And that is something that you want to have a solution for. So buyers have a big challenge where the cost of home ownership is greater than ever before. And so the way that you can combat that is being aware of the different strategies to help them get the best cost of home ownership possible. Meaning, how do you help them lower their mortgage payment? And there's different strategies that help with that. We have the playbook called the Mortgage Hacks Playbook. And pull that up and show you. If you go to I'm going to send this to you. Ritz, actually, if you're on with us, will you send this over to Alicia so she has access to it? We have this resource board. I don't think you received this when you first started with KW, but we do have it now. I would highly encourage you to go back through it, because right here we have a bunch of resources, and one of them is what's called the playbooks. And in the playbooks, you'll find one called the Mortgage Hacks Playbook.
Awesome.
And this one, what it does is it goes through, fast forward a little bit, it goes through 8 different ways that you can help a buyer lower the cost of owning a home.
Okay.
So this is really valuable. So like one of them, for example, is something called a buy down. How familiar are you with a buy down?
A little bit. I know that when a buyer gets in a home, they can buy like buy down their mortgage kind of like, and it's on a point system, correct?
Yep, exactly. And typically the seller is the one that has to pay for those closing costs on the 2-1 buy down. So it's something
Okay.
you can negotiate with the seller to pay at closing. And so, for example, let's just do a normal, let's say a $500,000 loan on a house. And the purchase price is let's say 525. So if their interest rate is 625, what would happen is the number of their monthly payment would be $3,078. Now
Wow.
that's quite a bit, right? That's a
Yeah.
lot. And so that's where we're seeing the challenge right now. Some buyers say, I can't do that every single month. Like that's just too much.
Right.
And so where the buy down helps is if they do a buy down, their payment every month is actually gonna be $2,459 or $2,459 for the first 12 months. Then it's gonna be $2,761 the second 12 months. Then in year 3, it will go to $3,078. But guess what people will do before it goes up in year 3?
What?
A refinance.
Okay.
This is really a bet that interest rates are going to lower before that 2-year time.
Okay.
Yep. And if not, they just know they're going into this monthly payment in year 3, but at least the first 2 years, it's far more affordable because that's a savings of $100 a month, right?
Okay.
Like that's a pretty good chunk of change for most people, which saves them $7,400 year 1. And then year 2, it saves them $3,800. So there is a cost to doing this, and that's where this calculator. So I'll send this to you as well.
Okay.
You'll just want to, so you can use this. I'm going to send it in the group chat right now on Zoom. So you want to open it, and then you can save it to your Google Drive. Let me see.
Got the core services link on there as well.
Awesome. Yeah, the core services link is on there. So you'll want to save both of those links. Okay.
Okay.
Let me know if does that calendar or that spreadsheet, did that work for you?
I clicked on the first one, so I'm just going through and trying to get it. Okay, I got the first one.
Awesome. Yeah, definitely save that, and you can go back through that because it has a ton of cool resources on it that you may not know that you have access to with KW.
Yeah, I did not know. So that's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. And then I just want to make sure that spreadsheet does open for you. And if not, I'll share it a different way.
Yeah, it's not opening. Oh, wait, it just did. You're good. I got it.
Okay, cool. Sweet. Okay, so yeah, this is a very simple that I go through with clients is I just literally plug in these numbers just up here. What's their loan amount, purchase price, and then what is their interest rate? And then everything else automatically updates for you. So you don't have to change anything else. And then this is what I would have to negotiate from the seller to pay is the $11,237 for them to get the 2-1 buy down.
Okay.
So that will show you how much concessions are required for the buyer to be able to get that buy down.
Okay.
Let's see. Yeah, so that's a big thing is just being strategic and saying what options do I have? That's where the mortgage hacks playbook comes into play. And knowing that for different clients, there might be a different solution, right? Some of them, for example, an investor can't do a buy down. They're buying an investment. Only people buying a primary residence can do that. So you might have to offer something else for an investor, like seller financing would be a good option for them, right? So being aware of all of those, and this playbook will go through all of them and explain it to you so you understand what they actually mean. And that helps you to explain it to customers as well, or clients.
Okay.
Okay, market update. So this one, the slide is outdated, but it gives you an example. This was every quarter we do a deep dive on the market and the actual data, and we go through the numbers that matter. What you want to do is get like 3 to 4 slides that you are going to share with clients, because our slides are like 150 and it's a lot of data. You just want to pick like 4 to 5 that you're going to use. And this is one of the ones I like, is people ask like, what's happening in Utah? Are we going to see another housing crash? Because the news shares fear, right? The news says worst, housing, interest rates since 2008. So people automatically think that means we're seeing a crash. We're not, because we have too much demand, not enough supply. We're in a very different situation than back in 2008. These are the things that are in our favor with Utah compared to other places. So Utah's been one of the most, the highest appreciating state in the country for the last 2 decades. We have the first or the lowest unemployment rate, 4th highest median household income, 2nd lowest poverty rate, largest household size. Like there's so many different things that are in our favor, and that's where all these things positively impact the real estate market. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So these are cool things that you can kind of memorize, and you don't even have to have a slide. You can just, when somebody says, well, how's the market? Right? The first thing is, I always want you to answer that question in a very specific way. There's many scripts out there, so you can use different conversations as you like, but one of the good ways is not just going into, well, it's a crazy market. That's usually what people say.
Yeah.
Or it's been wild or whatever, right? They don't actually say anything that helps a person understand what's really happening. So what I do is I ask a question in return. So Alicia, if you were to say, Shoney, how's the market? If we just ran into each other and we're catching up, I'd say, well, it really depends. Are you more interested in buying, selling, or investing? Because all 3 of those markets are a little bit different. So which one's most important to you? Why do you think that question might be helpful?
Because it brings area for conversation on the other person's end when they answer you, and yeah.
Yep, exactly. Because if they say, well, investing.
Yeah.
Oh, so do you guys already have some investment properties? Have you been thinking about getting started with investment properties? Where you're at now. Obviously, I'm going to answer the question now based on the investment side. All this data is very applicable. Well, Utah's, one of the best states. Obviously, our cash flow is low here in the state, but we have, some of the lowest unemployment rate in the country. We have the largest household size, and new millennials stepping into home ownership right now. And we have a lot of other factors that are at play, but these are the kind of stats that I would share with somebody in that scenario that would be actually helpful. It'll be data that they can actually use to make a decision. If it's a seller, right? Based on some of the stuff we've talked about today, if I were to run into a seller and ask that question of, it depends. Are you more curious about buying, selling, or investing? And they say, well, potentially selling. We've thought about putting our home on the market. Well, great. One of the things that you'd like to be aware of, Alicia, is that we're probably one of the best selling times in history, because we have a record low supply. We don't actually have enough homes for sale, and so homes are selling for faster than ever. 2021, we were probably about a week of inventory where homes would sell, or average days on market, homes would sell very quickly. We're now closer to about 35 to 40 days on market, but that's still historically very fast timeline to sell a home. We're past up to 6 months. So how they respond to that question can better inform me on how to navigate the conversation. Right. And then the last one is if they say buying, I'm thinking about buying. Well, the great thing that you'll like to know, Alicia, is that one of the cool things, even though we have high interest rates, because I'm going to throw out what their biggest challenge would be in buying, even though we have high interest rates, one of the great things right now is that we have different options when it comes to your, structuring your mortgage and your loan, where you could get, there's different strategies to get a lower payment. And so that's something I can help walk you through and go through those pieces. Obviously, I'm talking about a 2-1 buy down, which we'd get into if they're thinking about buying. And a lot of this is I'm jumping right to like the solution, but there's actually some follow-up questions that I would ask. If they say I'm buying or I'm selling or investing, I would want to know a little bit more before I start going into data on the market.
Right.
This slide is where a lot of that can be informed by. Utah job change by industry, county unemployment rate. Unemployment's a big thing. Utah has one of the lowest unemployments in the country. That's showing Utah's cycle. We're in a very good place, or actually kind of an unhealthy place. We need more unemployment. Real GDP is gross domestic product. So this is how much money is moving through the Utah economy. And this is going back to 1967. What does the trend look like to you? Does it look like up or down, Alicia?
Up.
Yes. Like this has been a consistent trend for over 50 years. Utah's a very healthy economy, and this directly impacts real estate transactions. So people who are going to buy real estate, I'm very confident if they're buying for a long term, right? If they're saying, we're gonna live here for 6 months or a year, I would probably tell those people not to buy right now. But anybody who's buying for a long-term horizon, like 5 years, 7 years, 10 years, it's a great place to buy. It's a great market to buy in right now.
Right.
So all these things are important to just look at the data. And then other important factors to investigate are location. So knowing what's going to be built around the home or what already is built is such a big key. Because let's say that you buy a home and you know that 2 years from now, Costco is going to be built, or the Children's Hospital, or Starbucks. Like that actually will help the home value that somebody's purchased go up in value, right?
Right.
Now, if you knew that they're going to be moving the prison next door to your house, that might decline the value, right? So it works the opposite as well. And just being aware of those things is super important. Are you familiar with how to find that kind of information of where, things are being developed and what's coming down the line?
Somewhat. I've heard that you can go to like the city council meetings and stuff. I think somebody mentioned that you can find the notes online from those meetings, but I'm not sure where that's at.
Yeah, great piece. So a lot of that is found online. You can go obviously in person to those county meetings, but one thing that's easy is also city planning and zoning is a very, very big one, because they will map out when they have to rezone areas where they're saying this is going to be commercial, this is going to be residential. And so if you go to what city are you in?
Mount Pleasant.
Okay. So if I do Mount Pleasant and I do city council meeting minutes, you'll see a few different websites. You want to look at the one that looks like it's Mount Pleasant City, which I'm assuming this one is.
Yeah.
And then you can go back through and look at the different notes from meetings that they've had. And some of the, let's see, Utah Public Notice. Let's see if it's on here.
Cool. Thank you.
So you might have to do some digging on Mount Pleasant and see where they post their information. Like if I did like Lehigh, which is the area that Lehigh, America Fort, Pleasant Grove, all those areas I focus on. If I do Lehigh City Council, I can find the most recent city council meetings and what they discussed. So I can go right here to 2023 meeting schedule and see future meetings. And then I can go ahead and look at agenda and meeting minutes from previous meetings as well. So most larger cities, they keep this up to date quite frequently. and it's easy. So for example, a budget amendment is happening on the 13th, right? And they're going to talk about specific things in there. I bought a condo in Lehigh about 2019, so about 4 years ago now. And that was before they announced publicly that the children's hospital was going to go in, but it was already in all the meeting minutes. They talked about building the children's hospital. So I look at the map, for example, I just look at Google's map for Lehigh. So the children's hospital is going in right here. And obviously it's actually almost finished. It's going to be done before the end of the year. What I did is I actually bought a condo right here, literally this corner condo, but that was probably about 18 months before they started digging, before they put signs up and before everybody knew that this was going in. All of this was just dirt, obviously. Now they built a car wash, they put in a soda shop, they put in a McDonald's right here. So all this stuff is, people are building around this children's hospital, right? So I kind of anticipated, well, if they're going to put a children's hospital in, they're going to need food around it. They're probably going to need a gas station. They're probably going to need all the resources, right? And so that's been a huge help for our condo values. That's gone up in value because of the things building around it. And why I share this is probably a little bit more in depth than you were expecting for today. But the reason I share this is because your clients, if you can share this with them, if they're thinking about buying a home for their personal residence and you can validate that the location they're buying in is going to be a very good choice, that's going to help them with that decision, right, to make a move. So those are some things that you can go a little bit more advanced if you really want to study the data, is knowing your market and knowing what is to be built in locations that you're serving.
Okay.
Let's pause. I know we've gone through a lot in the last 40-ish minutes. So what do you feel like have been some of the big takeaways for you so far?
Just looking at the snapshots of the market and the inventory and stuff, really gave me a good idea of what's going on. And the statistics about the unemployment rate and stuff, that's really good information to know. So I think that's going to help me out a lot. And getting the playbooks for the different financing options and stuff as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, those playbooks will be super helpful for you.
Yeah.
And two, I don't want you to be overwhelmed with all this data talk, because the reality is it's a timing thing. As far as over time, it's going to become more familiar to you. So as you hear it talked about more frequently, it's going to be a little bit more natural and normal. And so just, coming to team meeting on Zoom, if you're, not driving in, listening to obviously Ignite, those kind of classes, that could be super helpful. We also have these on our YouTube channel. So for example, I would actually highly recommend you go back and watch the market report that Johnny Christensen just did. So you do KW Utah market report on YouTube. And you'll see this first quarter, it was 1 month ago. And Johnny goes through for about an hour and a half with Marcus Green as well. He's another one of the owners of one of the KW franchises here in Utah. And they go through all these details that are super important. And you can just listen to this consistently to be able to understand how to articulate the data to your clients.
Okay.
So that's super. And if you go to kwutah.com, so this is on our state website. So KW Utah is our entire state. If you go to resources, you'll see agent resources here. And then it will take you to this Google Drive where you can look at quarterly market updates. And then I can say, I want to see 2023, and it will show me that whole, and you can just download this right to your computer. So every agent has access to this with KW, and you can go download it every quarter. And then you have roughly this is a 168 page report on everything with not only real estate, but the economy as well.
Okay.
And that's where if you want to look at the report real time while you're listening to this, you can kind of flip through the pages and makes it easy. Okay. All right, so we're going to go through this last part a little quicker than usual, because the big piece is what we just talked about, was really understanding the market, and research is the key to that. Really digging into the numbers and knowing where things are trending is a big key. So we've talked a little bit about this, 4 steps to building your expertise. Learn your market. That's number 1. The next one is learn your clientele, right? Supporting a buyer is different than supporting a seller, which is different than supporting an investor. And also clients in different price points need different support as well. So for example, I want to say, I'm not 100% sure on this, but you'll want to find out about the rural housing loans. Are you familiar with those at all yet?
I've heard about them, that I'm not 100% sure on exactly what they entail.
Okay. So Renelle Smith would be a good agent to reach out to and just connect with. I'm going to put her phone number on here because she's doing one of these right now. It's her first listing and she's getting very familiar with this, where in different areas, I just put her phone number in the chat.
Okay.
In different locations, there are different loan programs. And one of those in remote areas, and I think your kind of county qualifies for that. So that's the part you want to double check.
Okay.
Is the rural housing loan, which is a 0% down loan, and it's geography based. So when it's in a rural area, they will actually do a really, really awesome loan where it's no money down or very low money down. And that can provide a cool opportunity for your clients, right? So knowing where your client lives or where they're buying is a key. And then knowing what loan programs they have options to take advantage of.
Okay.
Obviously listen to individuals. So this is more of one of the ways of building expertise is listening to top agents. That's the purpose of Ignite, and what should be a good resource for you is being able to sit like this with me or with another Ignite instructor and hear their expertise that they've learned over the last 3 to 5 years, which helps you fast track your success. If we look back when I started in real estate in 2019, I was in your exact same position, probably looking at going in through Ignite. I went through Ignite and I was like, okay, this all sounds like gibberish. Like this is foreign language to me. But then again, through repetition and through hearing it over and over, I've built up that expertise. So listen to agents who are maybe just a few steps ahead of you, and that can be super helpful. And then the last one is keep the headlines in context. So your clients and you always see in the news or on YouTube all these headlines around, market crash, or that the real estate industry is not doing well. And there might be some truth to that, but again, you have to have context. So for example, if people just see the statistic that Utah real estate sales has dropped by 35% year over year, right? Roughly 30 to 35%, they might think that that's a housing crash. And it's a transaction crash, meaning we're not selling as many homes, but we are not seeing, there's not a 30% reduction in home values. Home values have stayed steady. And so the issue is affordability. People can't qualify to buy. That's why less homes have been sold, right? So it's an affordability problem, not necessarily hey, real estate is overpriced and we have an issue.
Right.
Let's see. Market report. We do an email newsletter for you every month. You can go find this on command. This is something you can send out to your database. And it's already done for you, which is nice. So we do that every month, and it will show them statistics on the entire state. So that does bring in data from the state. You can go create your own one if you want to do it for county specific. But that's a cool resource that's just done for you every month, and that can be found right in Command. And Hunter can help you with that if you want to get that process set up.
Okay.
This snapshot is from that market update report. So I'm not gonna go through that again. So this is some good questions to ask yourself. Who are the buyers that you're serving? Who are the sellers that you're serving? Does the market benefit your clients, and does the market put your clients at risk? So all these are important keys. So for example, in a seller's market, one of the risks that buyers have is being in a multiple offer situation, right? Where they have to compete against other buyers to acquire a home. And in this previous market, like 2020, 2021, even the beginning of 2022, some buyers would have to remove their contingencies as a negotiation piece. What I mean by that, I know that might sound a little complex, is if you were to buy a home, Alicia, you have a due diligence period, right? So you have some time where you can back out of the home if there's issues, like you do the home inspection and maybe the plumbing's bad or the roof is bad, and you don't want to have, that risk of buying that home. You can say, you know what, I just want to step out and I want my earnest money back, right? In the previous market that we're in, buyers would have to waive that contingency and say, no matter what I find on the inspection, I have to buy the home. And if I back out, you get to keep my earnest money.
Oh,
That's a
gosh.
risk,
Yeah.
right? And so as a real estate professional, as a fiduciary, you have to know, how do I protect my clients in this kind of environment, right? Based off of what market we're in. Now, we're not in that same market, which is good. That's the good thing that has happened recently, is because we have a little bit more inventory than we had a year ago. We are in a position where clients, for the most part, are not waiving those contingencies. Like, it's very, very rare now than it was a year ago. So just understanding, does the market benefit or put my client at more risk? Right now, sellers still have a huge benefit based off of the conditions that we're in. Okay. We talked about listening to individuals, keep the headlines in context. Again, these are some news clips that I put on here just to show, like, this is what the news is saying. Home affordability worse than 2008. Yes, that is true, but what is the solution? There are different routes that people can take to lower the cost of buying a new home, and that's where they need a trusted professional to walk them through that. Housing market recession. Home prices growth slows. So this is interesting. This is the National Pricing Home Price Index. What I wish that they would show is the average appreciation rate, because the appreciation rate shows how much a home values has grown year over year. And in 2021, the home value in Utah was about 28 to 30% growth, which is crazy. So that means if you had $100,000 property, it was now worth 130. Or if you had a $400,000 property, it was now worth 520. That's a huge growth in 1 year. We haven't had that in history outside of the 2020 to 2021 time period. So when they say housing market recession, home price growth slows, home price growth slowing is actually not a bad thing, because we were out of control with how quickly homes were growing in value. So they make it seem like it's a bad thing, when in reality, we actually need this to happen. We need home values to slow down. Otherwise, it cuts out the first-time home buyer. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That's where understanding the headlines and you being aware of the market data to explain to a new buyer, like, hey, they're making it seem like the housing market is crashing. That's not the case. It wasn't growing at 30%. It was now growing at like 5% or 7%.
Yeah.
Which the 50-year average is about 4% appreciation is healthy. So we've just been way, way above that. So this is not a bad thing, but again, the news makes it seem like it's the end of the world. These are screenshots from YouTube. So if you go type in real estate, this is what people have. It started the worst housing crash in 40 years. Not true. The disturbing details of 2023's housing crash explained in detail. Top 10 cities where home prices will crash in 2023. Utah is not marked on here, but again, like this is what people see
Right.
when they go on YouTube. So you need to be the trusted advisor that's telling them solutions, not pointing out problems, and not amplifying the problems that may not even really be a problem. So for example, this is one success hack that I recommend, which is to be solution oriented. As you can see from all of those things that I just showed you, news and YouTube, they're just talking about a problem, but they're not focusing on the solution. And that's a big key for your database, your sphere, is you want to be the voice that's telling the positive story and how they do have options. There are solutions that can help them. Quote from Mr. Cleaver says that if you are not a part of the solution, you are a part of the problem. And this one is a solution-oriented person sees an opportunity in every difficulty. Okay, two good ones. Here's an example of that. So these are opposite ends of the spectrum. 3% mortgages are back. Here's how to get one. This another person, 3% interest rates are back. Assumable mortgages explained. So one of those mortgage hacks is helping somebody do an assumable mortgage, which means they get to take on somebody's existing mortgage. Only specific loan types qualify for this, but that means if somebody else has a 3.5 rate, instead of you going and getting a new loan, you're taking their existing loan and keeping their good interest rate.
So I have a question. Yeah, I have a question about that. So I got a notification from my mortgage company I think it was back in January saying that they don't do that anymore. Is that like common with mortgage companies that they don't do assumable mortgages, or does it just depend?
And what kind of loan do you have? Is it an FHA?
Yeah, FHA.
Yeah, so there's only I believe it's only FHA, and then I can't recall if a VA loan is assumable or not. I'll have to look at that one. But it's really dependent on the loan servicer, whoever the provider is of your loan. So whatever bank or credit union or whoever the loan was sold to, like they're the ones that really get to dictate that and control it. So they can stop at any time, but it's again, that's one of those options where before helping somebody to buy that home, you guys would find out if the bank is going to allow the assumption of that loan.
Okay.
Yep. So you would just do that due diligence in the process. But sharing solutions is the key. That's such an important part. I'm going to skip that. Let's see. Again, what your client wants is they want a solution to their problem. And their problem is the high cost of owning a home. Now, here's the reality. Renting is not, I would say, is not a solution. If they're going to live in a home long-term and their purchase is going to be long-term, owning is always better than renting. So sometimes they think that's the only solution that they have. And that's why we have to present these other 8 options, right? A 40-year mortgage, for example, that can lower significantly the monthly payment on the home. Okay. Any big takeaways from that section?
No, I'm just taking everything in and trying to listen and pick up on everything still. So
and I know this is a little probably intense because we're doing this one-on-one, right? And so you've got a lot of pointed questions I'm throwing at you, but just take this as absorb the things that you can, and you go back through this class multiple times, because it's helpful when you might only keep 25 to 30% of the information, and then the next time you come in, you might retain another 30%. So if you go back through it 3 or 4 times, like you're going to be very understanding and knowledgeable of all the things that I'm throwing at you.
for sure.
Okay, last thing I want to go through is resources that you have at your disposal. So definitely use the apps that you have access to with KW. These are super important tools. The KW Command app, do you have that on your phone yet?
Yeah,
Cool. So one of the things that's nice is obviously you can share homes with clients. They can search for homes, everything that they're searching for, you can track on the back end. So you can see all the homes that they're clicking on. And that's super helpful. Command, obviously you want to become, have you gone through our $100,000 pipeline class?
yeah, I did. I just did mine this last week and then I signed up for it a second time. So,
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, being able to use this as a tool is going to be vital for your business. Here's the reality. You've probably seen a lot of headlines around like technology, artificial intelligence, and how it's going to replace a lot of jobs, right? Technology is. And we've seen this with different industries in the past. And people are wondering, well, what's going to happen with real estate? And specifically real estate agents. How does technology impact them? What we feel is that real estate agents will never be replaced by technology, but real estate agents will be replaced by other real estate agents that are using technology to their advantage. Does that make sense?
yeah,
So that's your competitive edge, is if you really learn how to use this tool, because about 5 years from now, we're going to see a lot of agents cut out of the business because they're competing against agents who have adopted technology and they can't keep up.
right.
That's a great place to start, is by making sure that you're using Command to its full force. This is just about how to download the KW app. Let's see, social media. This is a strategy that's also great for building your top of mind. Basically, when somebody thinks of real estate, when they're like, we need to sell our house, or, we need some help buying, you want them to automatically have your name pop in their mind.
Yeah.
So like, if I were to say, what is 1 or 2 chip companies, potato chips, that come to mind? What are some of the big names that come to your mind?
Lay's and Doritos.
Funny thing is, whenever I ask that question, it's usually the same, right? Which means like they've done the best job at positioning themselves in your mind.
Right.
Even down to like, if you go to the supermarket, I don't know if you've heard about this before. Do you know what shelf in the supermarket sells the most? Like, what is the best shelf to be on? Do you think top, middle, eye level, or close to the floor?
Eye level, probably.
Eye level. Yep. And so if you go next time you go to the store, look and pay attention to where do Doritos and Lay's sit in the grocery store. They buy that middle shelf.
Yeah.
So like even the small things like that, or being in the Super Bowl commercials, like all these things earn mind share. And so you've got to do the same thing. And this is a specific social media strategy to do that, is to like 10 people's posts per day, to write 5 comments per day, and then send 1 direct message a day. Okay. And this is because likes, most people don't click and see, okay, let me look at the 50 people that like my post. They will look at and read every single comment though. And they will definitely look at all the messages that somebody directly sent them. Right. So that's a strategy that you can deploy to just increase your mind share. Let's see. Your daily success system. So this is your daily 10-5. So 10 conversations per day, 10 contacts added to Command, sending 10 handwritten notes. That's the most underutilized tool. And it is the most successful. People rarely get notes or handwritten pieces of mail unless it's like their birthday or Christmas. So whenever they see something handwritten in the mail, 99% of the time they're going to open it. They're going to get curious and say, what in the heck is this? And it's going to stand out in their mind because how many of their friends have sent them a handwritten note? Very few. I'm curious, Alicia, this year, how many handwritten notes have you received?
1.
1, right? It's going to be a handful throughout the year for any given person. Like you're going to receive 1 to 5, very low number. So it's just going to stick out more in their mind. So starting right handwritten notes is a good strategy. The 10-5-1 social we just went through. There's actually one that's missing. The one that they should have on here as well is 10 homes previewed. Oh, they have it right here. So number 2, I know it's not on here on this right side, but it is on the left, is preview homes. So this allows you to become more of an expert around like what homes should be valued in your area by looking through the MLS view of the homes, or scheduling tours, or going through open houses. Like you can go walk through a home without a buyer, obviously make sure it's a vacant home, so you're not having a family pack up and leave, for 45 minutes for you to walk through. But if it's a vacant home, just go schedule a showing and go walk through it. And you'll get more familiar with, oh, so this is what a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house is priced in this area. If you go through 5 to 10 homes every week, some of them you might just be able to go through on photos, right? If you can go in person, even better, because you can see the area, you can see the surrounding location. But that helps you to become more of an expert as well by just looking at homes that are in your area. Okay. Great. Well, that is the last section for today. If you were to say the 1 or 2 things, I want to actually, instead of ahas, I want to focus on action items. What's the 2 things that you want to take out of this session, Alicia, and go implement into your business?
The staying up on the market, the snapshot that you showed me through command and stuff, and how you can get that. And then viewing homes, because just go out on my own, because I haven't done that yet. So I think that'll help me a lot. Yeah,
because what you're going to do in your area is you're going to start finding where maybe a client said, I want to buy, in this part of Mount Pleasant. Well, you're going to be like, oh, I was actually just out there last week and found a home that was priced at $370, and it was a great home. So, and kind of go through the details, and it helps them to say, oh, she is like really dialed into this market, right?
Yeah.
So that cool. Awesome. Well, as we wrap up, are there any questions that you've got for me?
No, thank you though.
Yes, absolutely. Glad to help. And I would highly go back through that dashboard that I sent you, save that somewhere, and just go through, spend 30 minutes walking through it, because there's a lot of things you may not know that you have access to that you can be utilizing, and that will kind of catch you up to speed and be a thing that you can reference consistently.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay. You have a wonderful day.
You too.